morning. We're on holiday. We are going to travel from the north of England to the south, somewhere called Hartwood, to see family. As you can see, we're in the train station. It would be a miracle if you can hear me, but that's where we are. We're just starting our journey. So I just bought the beautiful Secrets of Hartwood Hall over the weekend from town, and I'm carrying it with me on holiday. I plan to read this book over a few days when we are away. If you haven't heard about this book, The Secrets of Hartwood Hall, it's newly published. I think it just came out in the UK a couple of days ago. It's written by a fellow booktuber called Katie from Books and Things. If you don't know her, definitely go watch her channel. I think a lot of you do know her and watch her channel already, because a lot of you came over from her channel a while back to my channel originally. I got this in town about 2 days ago over the weekend, and I planned to take it with me on holiday. So I look forward to reading it over the next few days, and I would like to do a reading vlog over the holiday and then tell you what I think. This book is special not only because it's written by someone from the booktube community whose videos I watch regularly, and I feel like I know her a little bit. It's also special because it's written by someone from the booktube community. I might have the opportunity to ask her questions about the plots, about the characters, and I'm really looking forward to that. I will speak to you later.
It's 1852, and Margaret Lennox, a young widow, is offered a position as governess at Hartwood Hall. She quickly accepts, hoping this isolated country house will allow her to leave her past behind. Cut off from the village, Margaret soon starts to feel there's something odd about her new home. Despite her growing fondness for her bright, affectionate pupil, Louis, there are strange figures in the dark, tensions between servants, and an abandoned east wing. More troubling is the local gossip surrounding Mrs. Evesham, Louis' widowed mother, who is deeply distrusted in the village. Margaret finds distraction in a forbidden relationship with the gardener, Paul, but despite his efforts to reassure her, she is certain that everyone at Hartwood Hall has something to hide, and as Margaret's own past threatens to catch up with her, she must learn to trust her instincts before it's too late.
Before we get into the story itself, I want to say 3 things. First of all, I'm on a climbing frame, can you see? And I want to show you this beautiful magnolia tree. This is the magnolia season in the UK at the moment. Just want to show you this pretty tree, and it's in the evening now. You probably can see the moon behind me as well. So that's the first thing. Second thing, a big thank you to a good friend who saved my footage from a bit earlier. The ones we took in the train station, you saw a bit earlier at the beginning of this video, they were all filmed as slow-mo and they all were deleted and went in the junk folder. So thank you very much for saving my footage by telling me how to fix them. And thirdly, I said I'm doing a reading vlog. I realized I've never done a reading vlog before, so I'm not quite sure how to talk about the characters, the plots, what I think about them without spoiling the story. So I will have a think, but watch on, but beware. I just finished reading volume 1. In volume 1 we got introduced to most of the characters. So we have the narrator, Mrs. Lennox. The book has a first-person narration, and we got introduced to the mistress of Hartwood Hall, Mrs. Evesham, and her son Louis, a 10-year-old boy. And we got introduced to all the household staff. It's not a very big staff team, so we get to know all of them a little bit. And we also got to know the villagers. We also got introduced to quite a lot of secrets. So for example, the secrets of Mrs. Lennox, our narrator, her secret is mostly around her past marriage and her husband who just died recently. And the mistress of Hartwood Hall, Mrs. Evesham, she has a lot of secrets as well. So I feel like there are 2 types of secrets in the book. One is the type that we know as readers, but other characters in the book might not know. And there are also secrets that are kept from us readers, but some of the characters know, if you know what I mean. So for example, we're not sure why Mrs. Evesham is so concerned about her boy Louis' safety, so that's a secret from us. And there's also a death, I'm not going to spoil it for you, around her that's considered unnatural and evil, and we don't know why people think that either. But there's also the secret of her career, which we are told, but not everyone in the book knows. So that's Mrs. Evesham. And Louis, I feel like, knows things as well. But so he has secrets too, but I'm not sure if he knows those are secrets just by the way he reacts and interacts with people. I feel like he knows secrets, but he doesn't know those are secrets, or maybe he does know, and that's why he hates it so much, because he can't talk about it. I'm not quite sure yet, but I feel like Louis is a key character. He's definitely the center of a lot of things. There's also the secrets of the hall, the Hartwood Hall itself. The east wing was shut off. We know this right from the beginning. But Mrs. Lennox, this newcomer, keeps seeing things in that part of the building. I'm sure someone lives there. We're just waiting to find out who. I have an inkling who it is, but to not spoil the story, I'm not going to tell, but I will see if my prediction is correct. Well, I guess the question is why, if somebody lives there, why they are shut off in there. What's the reason? And that's something I'm curious about. And also the hall itself, the villagers have a lot of superstitions around the hall regarding its past and present, so that's something we are waiting to find out as well. And then there are the servants. There is not a very big staff team, but everyone seems to have their own secrets, and some people definitely know more than others do. I'm also waiting to find out who know the truth and who don't and think they know the truth. I think that's the vibe I'm getting. And there are new secrets being created since Mrs. Lennox arrived. Somebody falls in love with somebody, which is very cute, very lovely relationship, and somebody is blackmailing somebody because of some past secrets. It's all very intriguing, so I'm looking forward to hearing more about them. Character-wise, Mrs. Evesham and Louis are a lot nicer than I expect them to be. In chapter 1, when Mrs. Lennox travelled to Hartwood Hall, the atmosphere and the whole setting were very gothic, very dark, very spooky. Katie makes use of the weather fabulously. It's very atmospheric and gives this quite scary feel to it right at the beginning. But the next day, when Mrs. Lennox met Louis and Mrs. Evesham, they are perfectly nice people. I was really pleasantly surprised to read about them. As soon as I heard that Mrs. Lennox is going to be a governess, I have this governess stereotype in my head, which mostly come from partly Jane Eyre, partly Agnes Grey. And so I don't know if you're familiar with the stereotype. It's usually kind of not part of the family, but not part of the servants, slightly looked down on, but vaguely respected, and the children they look after are always a nightmare, especially in Agnes Grey. It's just pure grim. But so that's why I was also very pleasantly surprised. The relationship between Mrs. Lennox and her mistress and her charge, the pupil, are great. They like each other. The boy is really pleasant to his teacher. So that's a nice, lovely surprise. There are a few servants around the house. One is the housekeeper called Mrs. Pooley. It reminds me immediately of one of Katie's favorite authors called Natasha Pooley. I wonder if she named the character after her. I will now move on to volume 2. Chat to you later. We're back in the north of England visiting a stately home called Seaton Delaval Hall. There was a house here from the 13th or 12th century. The one behind me was restored in the 18th century, so it was used and lived in by the Georgians, and it was restored by the Victorians, and the last owners handed the place to the National Trust only a few years ago. I came here because I wanted to find a stately home that might have looked a little bit like Hartwood Hall. I'm not sure. This is definitely not as spooky and in the middle of nowhere as Hartwood Hall, but it also has a east wing, a west wing, and the main house. I took some video clips of the house itself, the bedroom, the gardens, and the stable as well. So interestingly, the west wing is also the one that has been lived in throughout all these years, just like Hartwood Hall, and the east wing I think is mainly the stables. So just want to show you Hartwood Hall might look something like this. I have now finished the book. I'm not going to tell you more about the story itself. I'm going to tell you two things I love about the book. The book is full of historical details. The author must be very knowledgeable on this subject and has done tons of research on everyday things during the Victorian period. Things like what men and women wore, and what kind of books were popular and widely read, and what medicine was given to sick people, and how to manage a contagious illness, and what kind of dishes would be on a genteel household's tables, and what kind of servants they kept. The book is also full of feelings, positive ones as well as negative ones. Positive ones like being in love and the genuine affection between a mother figure and a child. And I especially appreciate the description of the fear and anxiety over a loved one's illness and potential death. It's so true and deep, I can almost feel it myself. Thanks, Katie, for the wonderful story. As someone who's relatively new to the BookTube community, I feel weirdly proud of her. I was on holiday seeing family and I carried the book around and telling everybody to look at the beautiful book and that I know the author. I don't really know the author, but you know what I mean. I watched Katie's publication week vlog. It must be so exciting to see one's own book on shelves in bookshops around town. I just want to say at the end, congratulations again, you did an excellent job. If you haven't got The Secrets of Hartwood Hall, definitely get a copy and read it. The audiobook is excellent as well. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next one.